think Dan Campbell's more so the leader.
I need to see more out of him.
They're 1-4, and they are staring down 1-7.
Do I want him fired?
Do you?
No. I think we should keep him around.
I don't think he's going to lose his job.
If they win 5 games or less, I want Dan Campbell fired on the field.
He walked into a very, very bad situation.
I can't look you in the face and try to convince you that Dan Campbell is a good head coach. Evidence shows, like, by the numbers. He's
By
not.
the numbers.
You know what I'm saying? Was he like 4-17 at this point?
4-17-1.
He's not.
No.
Do I want him fired?
Do you?
No. I think we should keep him around. But for one sole reason, one sole purpose, and that's because the pieces around him. I think those are the guys like truly kind of like running the show. You know what I'm saying? I've said this time and time again. I think Dan Campbell's more so the leader, and the rest of the guys are, again, like running the scheme, and he's kind of just coming up with the ideas or how he wants to get things done, and they're the ones like actually, you know, hitting the drawing boards and drawing the play up. Obviously get approval for him if they, you know, go through with it or not. But nonetheless, keep him this year. Multiple reasons, right? Like first and foremost, this is like a shot in the dark, but some coaches regress their second year. It's true. We look back today. I look back today, I should say, trying to find, I guess, reasons. I guess some other guys that had a bad start.
I hope he doesn't regress.
I hope he doesn't regress either. But unfortunately, I'm trying to look for the paper with it. But I know that for first and foremost, Kyle Shanahan, yes. And I understand. We actually had this conversation yesterday. Dan Campbell's not Kyle Shanahan, but nonetheless, Kyle Shanahan went out his first season, won 6 games. Second season, only won 4. Then turned around, went to a Super Bowl, like became Kyle Shanahan. Now, I don't think that Dan Campbell's in that same conversation of coach, of echelon at all, in terms of like, the Kyle Shanahan to me is like an offensive genius.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should keep Dan Campbell because of our offensive genius. Ben Johnson, if you guys didn't watch it yesterday, I kind of said this a little bit yesterday as well, but Sean McVay, offensive coordinator for 2 years, then becomes a head coach. One of the best head coaches. But had that 2-year window to, you know, prove himself as a coordinator, and then, you know, okay, he's ready to be a head coach. If you fire Dan Campbell this year, or even before, like at the end of the year, there's no guarantee that you keep Ben Johnson. And I truly feel like we have something special here in Ben Johnson. I know that we scored 0 points against the Patriots, but I chalk some of that up to how this scheme is built around Jared Goff and that success he had in LA. Because don't forget, Sean McVay, Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, Bobby Trees, Cooper Kupp. How many points did they score against the Patriots in the Super Bowl? 3. So you can only imagine, you know, Jared Goff, the Detroit Lions team that's lesser than that one, and that was the 13th most scoring offense in league history. Mm-hmm. Only put up 3 against the Patriots. Bill Belichick knows Jared Goff. He knows how to shut that down. He's limited. But nonetheless, keep Dan Campbell. All right, if he starts next year sloppy again, you have Ben Johnson. The only way to keep these guys is if you're promoting them, if it's like a unilateral hire or however the wording works. He would then obviously be promoted to head coach, and you already have a head start. He's not on the free market. You can't lose him to like whoever the hell else is looking for a coach at that time. You know what I'm saying? The Commanders or you know what I'm saying, just whoever else.
The Raiders.
The Raiders. Like, yeah.
The Broncos. Like you know there's going to be some openings in the NFL.
Yeah.
There always is. And I look at it like, yeah, obviously this is not the best start to a 10-year, but could you imagine pitching what Dan Campbell walked into to any other good coach in the NFL? Like, come on. Come to Detroit. You know, our generational quarterback, he's leaving. He wants out, but, you know, that's all right. You know, our best players on defense got ran out of town by the fat idiot we had in here before you. That's all right. We got new guys. We got new best players. Oh, but, you know, nobody else wants those guys as their best players. The only teams that they're good for are the Patriots. But, no, they're good players. They're worth the money we're paying them. Oh, yeah, and, you know, all of our talent on offense is getting old and retiring, but, you know, come on in. You know, we're good. We don't even have a GM. We don't have a GM. We don't know who's going to be your boss. Come on, step in. Like, that would be a hard sell to most people.
Sell.
He walked into a very, very bad situation, and I'm not giving him an excuse for not improving this year. He obviously still has a lot of time this year to improve. I mean, he's only got to win 3 more games if he wants to improve off of last year. But to me, I need to see more out of him. I need to see more out of this team by the end of the year. I don't think he's going to lose his job this year, at the very least. I think he will get a win somewhere, somehow, some way, because the roster and situation he walked into was one of the worst in the NFL. It was one of the worst. And no good head coach, no guy that's been around the league, no Sean Payton, no whoever you guys wanted would have walked into that situation and be like, yeah, I can do this. You had to take a risk on a guy who didn't have head coaching experience and wants to prove something, wants to make a name for himself. Because he had to come in here and deal with the worst roster in the NFL. And it's slowly building up. We see the offense is clicking. We have guys now like a Penei Sewell, like an Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know, we have guys in place that we can see can be playmakers. Now we just need to work on that defense, build up that defense, because I talked about it yesterday. What am I, from New York? Yesterday. I talked about it yesterday. There's about 5 guys on that defense I want to see starting on the defense next year, and that would be Jeff Okudah, Tracy Walker when healthy, Malcolm Rodriguez, Aiden Hutchinson, and Lee McNeil. Everybody else can get them out of here. And so we need to sign at least 2 starters on defense, and we need to draft at least 2 starters on defense for this team to be anything, to be compatible, to be respectable, to be something you can put out there and be like, all right, we have a chance, because we have dudes, we have guys. We have people out there who TJ Hawkinson's a dude. You know he's going to be a dude. But we have people out there that we can rely on. Right now, you're looking at this defense, and your most reliable player is a 6th-round rookie. That is not okay. That is not acceptable by any means. So we reworked the offense. The offense was clicking for a while until it ran into Bill Belichick. Now we need to rework the defense. I'm not ready to kick Dan Campbell out of town yet, but I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot harder to say that when I'm looking at 1-7 in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm not firing him. And one of the sole reasons is, like, I want to keep Ben Johnson. If I'm going to fire him, and I like this year, I need like more Minnesota moments for me to fire him. Those like, you know, hey, if you get this first down, you win, and you go to kick a field goal, that means nothing at that point in the game. Fireable offense right there, you know. But outside of like those type of situations, I understand his situation and like what he's going to bat with. You know what I'm saying? Like it's no bueno. It's not good. I want to keep him in place simply because of his coaching staff. Because Ben Johnson's not getting head coaching offers this year, but I mean following next year, probably so. So if I'm going to fire Dan Campbell, and that sounds like bad. I mean I really don't want that to be the case. I'm knocking on wood right now, but like I'm going to do it next year to when I can then promote Ben Johnson or have more confidence to promote him and feel that he's more proven.
I agree.
What up, though, Sus?
Yeah, I just want to say that the Lions are in a terrible position because they have too much to do right now. They have to win games and build a culture. Like they have to. This is the Lions of, we know the last 50 years. I don't need to go over that. We know what the Lions' history is. So you need to win games. So you can't do the tank. And I get it. Tanking is different in football anyways. But on top of that, with being the Lions, that's the last team you can tank. You gotta fight and you gotta win games. But the silver lining at the end of the tunnel is Ben Johnson, is that you have that in your pocket, that you can build that you can groom that up. And for now, the important should be not to tank and not to focus on the draft, all that. We got weeks before we have to even think about that, months before we even have to think about that. Right now, we have to think about just building the culture and grooming and like you said earlier, growing the tree, like you said on some of the shows, growing the tree of the coaching staff and developing and just building that way.
For sure. Sam Flannel, what do you think about it? A lot of people are talking fire Dan Campbell already. How do you feel?
This is a tough one because you get to keep your job if you deserve to keep your job. And that's how I'm looking at Dan Campbell. And coming into the season, I did not expect the Lions to make the playoffs. I didn't expect anything like that. But I did expect the Lions to show some improvement. I said 8 games, but I also said the absolute minimum that I want to see is 6. And so far this year, the Lions' start has been nothing short of a disaster. They're 1-4, and they are staring down 1-7. Like, it's coming. That's my prediction. And that would make Dan Campbell's overall record as a head coach 4-20-1. And if you start the season 1-7, I don't think there's a chance in hell that they are going to win 6 games. I think this is looking like a 3 to 5 win football team. And that would put Dan Campbell's record at such a bad percentage that you can't justify keeping this guy. That's like Hugh Jackson with Cleveland territory if that's how the season pans out for Dan Campbell. So everything else be damned. If he's not a good coach and does not show that he deserves to keep the job, I want him gone. If they win 5 games or less, I want Dan Campbell fired on the field just like Arizona State did to Herman Edwards. And I'm not even kidding, because he will have shown that he's just not the guy that's going to get the job done.
You fire him this year?
If they win 5 games or less, he should be gone he should not be allowed to be on the team bus at the end of the game. Fire him on the field. I'm not asking for the Lions to be good. I'm asking them to be a better bad team that is showing improvement. And that's why I think I'm justified in what I'm saying. I'm just expecting improvement, growth, not a turnaround, like a great turnaround from year 1 to year 2. I'm asking for improvement. Is that too much?
What if you're losing Tracy Walker and obviously Sunday too, 5 of the DBs down? Are we still forcing those expectations?
I can say yes, because I believe that the Lions should have won the Vikings game and dumb coaching decisions got in the way. And that would have put them at 2-1 with a completely different trajectory to start the season. And then all those stupid 4th down calls in the last game against the Patriots, in which they were 0 for 6, set a freaking record. One of those 4th downs was a 4th and 9 in which they were down 6-0, had the opportunity to make it 6-3, but instead they decided to go for it, and Jared Goff gets sacked, fumbled, and returned for a touchdown to make it 13-0. Those are the type of decisions that get you fired, that deserve to get you fired, that Dan Campbell continues to make. Injuries be damned. You got to run the game right and put your team in the best position to overcome these things. Dan Campbell hasn't done that.